I sit at the kitchen table, watching Mom pack away Dad's life into cardboard boxes. Her hands move with practiced efficiency, wrapping each frame in tissue paper before placing it in the box labeled storage. Not keepsakes or memories, just storage, as if Dad was nothing more than seasonal decorations to be tucked away until convenient. Laughter erupts from upstairs, bright, intrusive, and completely wrong in this house of grief. Tom's children have been here less than a week, and already they've claimed territories like invading armies. The sound of their footsteps overhead feels like someone walking across my heart. I clutch the small wooden box in my lap tighter, my thumb tracing the worn edges. Inside rests Dad's watch, the one Grandpa gave him when he graduated college. The last piece of him Mom hasn't swept away into boxes. The hospice people said this helps with closure. Mom says without looking at me, her voice flat as she wraps another frame, removing the visual reminders. What about me? I want to scream. I'm the visual reminder. Every time she looks at me, she sees him. The stairs creak and Mom straightens, her face transforming. The grief lines smooth away, replaced by something bright and artificial, a smile she never wore for Dad. Tom appears in the doorway, his arms sliding around Mom's waist like he's marking territory. His eyes barely register my presence before focusing completely on her. Honey, we need to talk about your room situation, Mom says, turning toward me. The wooden box grows heavy in my hands. My room situation? Tom clears his throat. Chloe needs a proper bedroom, not that guest room. It's too small for a teenage girl. Mom nods, her fingers intertwining with his. We've been thinking the room by the garage would work better for you, Emily. It's cozy, and you'd have more privacy. The room by the garage. The glorified storage closet Dad converted into an office when the garage flooded 3 years ago. No windows. Half the size of my current room. You want me to move out of my bedroom? The question sounds small and pathetic, even to my own ears. It's not just your house anymore, Emily, Tom says with the patient tone adults reserve for difficult children. We're a family now. 4 months. Dad has been dead 4 months, and already I'm being relocated like furniture that doesn't match the new decor. Rain drummed against black umbrellas that day. Water soaked into the fresh dirt covering Dad's casket, turning the ground into mud that clung to my shoes. I stood there long after everyone left, watching the rain create tiny rivers in the soil. Later, in Mr. Abernathy's office, the family lawyer explained Dad's careful planning with gentle precision. Daniel was very thorough, he said, sliding papers across his desk. 3 properties, investments, insurance policies. Your father wanted to make sure you were always taken care of, Emily. I remember looking up at Mom and seeing something flicker across her fascia, brief tightening around her eyes, a slight downturn of her mouth. Not grief, something harder, colder. The signs appeared slowly after that. Dad's books disappearing from shelves. His workshop in the basement dismantled over a weekend. Then Tom's kids arrived, claiming the best spots on the couch, the newest gaming system, the largest slice of pie. At dinner, they talk over me, around me, but never to me. I've become a ghost in my own home, watching my place settings move farther down the table each night. Yesterday, I found trust paperwork in Mom's drawer while looking for stamps. The pages were covered in yellow highlighter, with notes and handwriting that wasn't Mom's scrawled in the margins. A soft knock pulls me from the memory. I look up to see Chloe standing in my doorway, measuring tape in hand, not even bothering to wait for the official relocation notice. Mom said I could paint it lavender, she says, stretching the tape across my wall. Where are you moving your stuff? The tears come silently, sliding down my cheeks as she measures my bookshelf, cataloging the space as if I've already vacated it. Later, Tom insists on a family photo for his mother. I stand at the edge, my body half in frame, half out. In the final picture, you can barely see just the edge of my shoulder, a sliver of face. My bedroom will be painted over. My place at the table moved, my existence cropped out. Have you ever felt like you were being erased from your own life? Like someone was using correction fluid on your story? blotting out the parts that didn't fit their new narrative. I look down at the wooden box in my hands. Inside, Dad's watch ticks steadily, the only proof that time is still moving forward, even as everything around me slides backwards. They think I'll just move to that tiny room, except being pushed to the margins of this new family portrait. But Dad made sure I'd be taken care of, and they have no idea what that really means. My books lie scattered across the garage room floor like battlefield casualties. Someone Mom or Tom or even Chloe had simply dumped the boxes and left. My childhood bookshelf, the one Dad built when I was 7, stands empty in the corner of my old bedroom. I know this because I watched Chloe's Instagram story this morning. Her spinning in what used to be my space, the lavender walls already dry. "We moved your things while you were at school," Mom says from the doorway. She doesn't apologize, doesn't ask if I need help organizing. Just stands there in her new cream sweater, the one Tom bought her last week. We need to do what's best for everyone now. I pick up my dog-eared copy of To Kill a Mockingbird from the concrete floor. The page corners are bent, the cover scuffed. "It's cozier in here anyway, kiddo." Tom appears behind Mom, his hand finding her waist with practiced ease. "More privacy." Privacy. Right. The concrete box with no windows and a door that doesn't lock properly. The musty smell of old flood damage that never quite dried. The single bulb hanging from the ceiling that buzzes like an angry wasp. I say nothing. What would be the point? Later, I hear Chloe on the phone through the thin walls. "I know, it's perfect. Mom said I can put in string lights next weekend." A pause. "No, she just took it. Didn't even argue." That night, I find a box marked Donate sitting by the front door. Dad's journals peek out from beneath old sweaters. I recognize the brown leather binding, immediately 12 volumes of his thoughts. Sketches of building projects, quotes he loved. Mom used to tease him about writing everything down. "Your father and his journals," she'd say, but her voice held affection then. I pull them from the box, clutching them to my chest. "What are you doing?" Mom stands at the bottom of the stairs, arms crossed. "These are Dad's journals." "Emily, put those back. We're clearing space." "You can't donate these. You're living in the past." Her voice hardens. "Daniel is gone. We have to move forward." I step backward, still holding the journals. "These are mine." "Fine." She waves a dismissive hand. "Add more clutter to your room." That night, I read by flashlight, the journal spread around me on the twin bed that barely fits in this storage closet they call my room. Dad's handwriting flows across the pages strong, confident. I trace the words with my fingertips. The 12th of March. Met Lisa's friend Tom for dinner. She insists it's not a setup, but I've seen the way she looks at him. The restaurant was his suggestion. Expensive taste. I freeze, checking the date again. The 12th of March. Dad was still alive in March. He was sick, yes, but still coming home every day, still sitting at the kitchen table, still helping me with calculus homework. I flip forward frantically. The 8th of April. Lisa meeting Tom for coffee again. 3rd time this week. Said she needed support from someone who understands. What about me? What about Emily? My stomach twists. I read entry after entry, the truth unfolding like a roadmap to betrayal. By graduation day, I've learned to smile when required. Honor student. Scholarship recipient. I stand straight when the principal hands me my diploma, searching the audience for Mom's face. She and Tom sit in the 3rd row, clapping politely. The celebration dinner feels like an ambush. We have something to share, Chloe announces before I've even opened my gifts. She exchanges glances with her father, then looks at Mom, who nods encouragingly. I'm pregnant. Mom clasps her hands together. Isn't it wonderful? We'll need to make some changes around here. Changes? I ask, though I already know. Well, the baby will need to be close to us. She doesn't meet my eyes. We're thinking the nursery should be on the main floor. But I still live here, Mom. Tom clears his throat. For now, Emily. But you're an adult. You'll want your own place soon. The phone rings the next morning. Grandma Margaret's voice sounds stronger than it has in months. Emily, your grandfather and I are worried. We haven't heard from you in weeks. Later that week, I meet Dad's best friend Mike for coffee. He was Dad's contractor for 15 years. Your dad knew, Emily. Mike slides a folder across the table. Those properties he left you? He knew this might happen. Mom said I can't touch anything until I'm 21. Mike shakes his head. That's not right. The trust transfers at 20. Your dad was very specific. I visit the attorney the next day. Mr. Abernathy confirms everything. I take careful notes in a new journal, one that looks just like Dad's. 3 months later, I come home from my community college classes to find 2 men carrying my bed out of the garage room. Pink paint cans sit by the door. What's happening? Mom appears from the kitchen. The baby needs to be close to us, Emily. You're hardly ever home anyway. Where are my things? We packed what seemed important. She gestures vaguely towards several garbage bags by the stairs. You can store them at your grandparents' if you need to. This is my home. If you can't support this family's needs, Tom says from behind her, maybe you need to find somewhere else to live. I look at my mother, really look at her. The woman who held me through nightmares and taught me to read. The woman who helped Dad string Christmas lights and laughed when he couldn't carry a tune. The woman who now stares back at me with a stranger's eyes. I pick up one garbage bag, then another, carrying them to my car in silence. The last thing I take is Dad's wooden box, with his watch inside, ticking steady and sure. When someone takes everything from you, do you walk away or wait for the right moment to reclaim what's yours? I had to make that choice, and my decision changed everything. Rain pelts the windshield as I pull into my grandparents' gravel driveway. The wipers struggle against the downpour, matching the rhythm of my sobs. One suitcase. That's all I managed to grab before Lisa made it clear I was no longer welcome in what used to be my home. I sit in the car, watching rivulets of water stream down the glass. The porch light flickers on, and Grandma Margaret appears in the doorway, her silhouette a beacon in the storm. The car door feels impossibly heavy as I push it open. My feet sink into mud as I trudge toward the farmhouse, rain soaking through my thin jacket. Grandma doesn't say a word when I reach the porch. She simply opens her arms, and I collapse into them, my body shaking with the weight of everything I've lost. Your father knew this might happen, she whispers against my wet hair. Not, I'm sorry, or, it'll be okay. Just the truth. The truth Dad saw coming long before I did. Inside, Grandpa George sits at the kitchen table, his weathered hands wrapped around a mug of coffee. His eyes, so much like Dad's, fill with a mixture of sadness and something harder when he sees my state. The attic room is ready for you, Grandma says, taking my suitcase. Has been since the day of the funeral. They were waiting for this moment. They knew Lisa pushed me out completely. That night, in the small attic bedroom with its sloped ceiling and window overlooking bare apple trees, Grandpa brings me a wooden box. Daniel wrote these before he got too sick. He places the box on my bed. Said to give them to you when you needed them most. Inside, neatly stacked letters address milestones my father would never witness. My high school graduation, my first heartbreak, my wedding day. On top sits one simply labeled, "When she pushes you away." My hands tremble as I unfold the paper. Emily, if you're reading this, your mother has chosen a path I hoped she wouldn't. Remember, what she's doing isn't about you. It never was. The trust will protect what I built for you until you're ready. I made sure of that. But the most important thing isn't the houses or money, it's knowing your worth isn't tied to how others treat you, even family. Margaret and George will show you the ropes. Listen to them. I love you, kiddo, more than any house or possession. Dad. I sleep with the letter under my pillow that night, Dad's words a shield against the nightmares that follow me into sleep. The nightmares come anyway. I'm standing in front of our house. while invisible hands dismantle it brick by brick. I try to stop, but my feet won't move. Lisa watches from the window, Tom beside her, both smiling as the roof caves in. I wake, gasping, sheets twisted around my legs, my father's watch clutched in my hand. The phone calls start 2 weeks later. "Emily, honey." Lisa's voice drips with fake concern. "Tom thinks you should sign over the rental on Maple Street. Just that one. We need to expand our portfolio, and that property would really help us." I say nothing, letting the silence stretch between us. "Emily, are you there? This selfish behavior isn't like you." I hang up without responding. 3 months into living with my grandparents, I almost lose my college scholarship when Lisa refuses to sign my financial aid forms. "If you're independent enough to leave home, you're independent enough to pay your own way," she says when I confront her. Grandpa drives me to the financial aid office himself. We sit for hours with a counselor who helps me file for independence. The process is brutal, laying bare the family breakdown for strangers to evaluate. From my grandparents' porch, I watch through binoculars as workers carry new furniture into my childhood home. The nursery appears in what was once my father's office, pale yellow walls replacing his deep green. On my 19th birthday, Grandma places a stack of leather-bound ledgers on the kitchen table beside my cake. "Your father's business records?" she explains. "Every property purchase, every renovation, every dollar earned or spent. Daniel built everything from nothing, Emily. He wanted you to understand how." I spend the summer between community college semesters studying those ledgers like sacred texts. I enroll in business courses, property management, real estate law. Every class a stepping stone toward reclaiming what's mine. The first time I walk through one of my houses, the rental on Oak Street, I see it with new eyes. Not just as my father's legacy, but future. I note the aging roof, the outdated kitchen, the potential hiding beneath years of rental wear. "The gutters need cleaning," Grandpa George points out during our weekend inspection. "Never ignore water issues, they'll cost you triple if you let them fester." Saturdays become renovation days. Grandpa teaching me to replace doorknobs, unclog drains, identify foundation issues. His patience never wavers when I mess up, hands bleeding from rookie mistakes with tools. Sundays are for legal lessons with Grandma, a retired paralegal who spreads Oregon property laws across the dining room table like battle plans. "Possession without legal standing is meaningless," she explains, highlighting passages in tenant codes. Lisa and Tom are essentially squatters with a family connection. Dad's old friends appear with job connections, advice, business cards passed over coffee. "Daniel helped me start my contracting business," says Mike Holloway, pressing his card into my palm. Time to return the favor. On my bedroom wall, a calendar marks days until my 20th birthday, the date the trust transfers completely into my name. Red X's cross out days like countdown to liberation. The attorney's office is cool and quiet when I visit in June. Miss Richards reviews my rights and responsibilities with clinical precision. "You'll have full control of all 3 properties," she explains, "including the right to determine occupancy." I create spreadsheets of fair market rent for Portland suburbs. Research eviction procedures. Draft a business plan for property improvements once I have access to the trust income. The formal notice waits in a folder on my desk, 30 days to vacate, my signature line empty until the legal date arrives. On the morning of my 20th birthday, before meeting with the trust administrator, I visit Dad's grave. The August sun warms the granite headstone as I trace his name with my fingers. "You made sure I would be okay, Dad. Now I'm going to make you proud." The trust documents feel substantial in my hands when Ms. Richards passes them across her desk hours later. My signature transforms them from potential to actual, from future to present. Grandma's hand rests on my shoulder as we leave the office. "You're ready," she says simply. The question isn't whether I'll deliver the notice to Lisa and Tom. The question is whether I have the courage to take back what's rightfully mine, even if it means standing against my own mother. I slip the notice into my purse, my father's watch heavy on my wrist. I'm ready. I grip the steering wheel of my Honda Civic as I turn onto Willow Creek Lane. My charcoal gray blazer feels stiff against my shoulders, the collar of my white blouse pressing against my throat. The certified letter in my briefcase burns like a living thing. Tom's massive truck sits in the driveway of my childhood home, dwarfing Mom's sensible sedan. Beside it gleams a brand new fishing boat, the price tag probably equivalent to a year's college tuition. My father's money at work. The doorbell echoes inside the house, a sound that once meant I was home, now announcing me as a visitor. When Mom opens the door, her smile freezes mid-formation. For a moment, her eyes widen with something like fear. "Emily?" She blinks rapidly, one hand rising to her throat. "We weren't expecting you." Clearly. I step past her without waiting for an invitation. The scent of unfamiliar potpourri hits me cinnamon and cloves instead of Dad's preferred pine. "Who is it, babe?" Tom's voice calls from the kitchen, followed by heavy footsteps. He appears in the hallway, a beer in one hand, remote in the other. His expression hardens when he sees me. "Well, look who decided to remember where she lives. This isn't a social call." My voice sounds steadier than I feel. I open my briefcase and extract the sealed envelope. "I'm here to deliver this formally." Mom takes it with trembling fingers. "What is this?" "A 30-day notice to vacate the premises." The words hang in the air like smoke. Tom's face flushes crimson while Mom's drains of all color. "You can't be serious." She tears open the envelope, eyes darting across the legal language. A baby cries upstairs. Mom's eyes dart toward the sound, panic replacing shock. "You can't just throw us out. The baby's only 6 months old." Tom steps forward, drawing himself up to his full height. "This is our home now. You can't just take it." "Actually, I can." The trust was very specific. I keep my voice level, the way my attorney coached me. "The property transferred to me on my 20th birthday. I've allowed you to stay rent-free for 3 months already." Footsteps thunder down the stairs as Chloe appears, balancing the baby on one hip. Her hair is pulled into a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes. "What's happening?" "Your stepsister is evicting us," Tom spits out. Chloe's mouth drops open. "Where are we supposed to go?" I adjust the strap of my briefcase, careful not to let my hands shake. "You have 30 days to find a new place. I've been very generous." "Generous?" Mom's voice breaks. "You call this generous? After everything we've done for you?" The laugh escapes before I can stop it, sharp and bitter. "What exactly have you done for me, Mom? Pushed me into a closet? Erased Dad's existence? Made me homeless at 18? That's not fair. Neither was what you did to me." I turn to leave, my heart hammering against my ribs. Mom rushes to the phone, frantically dialing as I walk out. By the time I reach my car, the calls have already begun, my phone lighting up with texts from relatives. "How could you do this to your mother? Your father would be ashamed of you. I never thought you'd be so heartless." I sit in my car, forehead pressed against the steering wheel, doubt creeping in like cold water. Would Dad be ashamed? Am I doing the right thing? 30 days pass in a blur of angry calls and tear-filled voicemails. Mom and Tom leave for a weekend in Arizona, ignoring the deadline completely. Their final act of defiance. When the 30-day mark arrives, I return with Grandpa George and a locksmith. The neighbors watch from their porches as we present our documentation to the confused police officer who responds to their calls. "Ma'am, everything appears to be in order," he tells Mrs. Patterson from next door. "Miss Harper is the legal owner of this property." I walk through the empty rooms after the moving company loads Tom and Lisa's belongings into storage. In the garage, I find Dad's fishing trophies tossed in a trash bin, waiting for collection. I rescue them one by one, wiping dust from the small golden figures. The nursery furniture we carefully place in a climate-controlled storage unit, along with anything truly necessary for the baby. I'm not a monster, despite what my mother's Facebook posts claim. That night, I sleep in my old bedroom for the first time in years. The walls are painted over, but beneath the fresh coat, I know my growth marks still exist, pencil lines marking each birthday, hidden but not erased. The next morning, I'm sipping coffee when car doors slam in the driveway. Tom's truck pulls up, followed by Mom's sedan. Their faces transform from travel-weary to thunderous as they try their keys in the new locks. Police cars arrive minutes later, Tom's doing. But the officers simply review my documentation again and stand by as Tom's threats escalate from legal action to physical intimidation. "Sir, you need to calm down," the older officer warns as Tom's finger jabs toward my face. From the living room window, I watch them drive away, defeated. Mom turns once to look back at the house, her eyes meeting mine through the glass. I don't look away. Sometimes taking back your power means becoming the villain in someone else's story. But was I wrong to reclaim what was legally mine? The aftermath would test my resolve in ways I never imagined. My phone vibrates again, the 5th time in 20 minutes. I don't need to look to know it's another family member I barely speak to, suddenly passionate about my moral failings. 12 voicemails since breakfast, Grandpa George says, placing a mug of coffee in front of me. "Your mother's been busy." I scroll through social media, where Lisa's family has launched their campaign. Aunt Debbie's post has 53 comments, praying for my sister Lisa during this difficult time. No mother should have to endure such cruelty from her own child. Uncle Ray shared a blurry photo of Tom holding the baby. Family means standing together through hard times. Shame on those who forget this sacred bond. Then I see Lisa's tearful video, professionally lit despite her desperate circumstances, mascara artfully smudged beneath red-rimmed eyes. "My own daughter made us homeless," she sobs into the camera, "after everything we've sacrificed for her." The wooden chair creaks as Grandpa settles beside me at the kitchen table. "You holding up okay, kiddo?" I set down the phone. "Half the town thinks I'm a monster." "Not for long," he says, turning his laptop toward me. On screen is his methodical timeline post. Daniel's death date, documentation of my room being taken, screenshots of Lisa refusing to sign my college forms, dated photos of my belongings piled in the garage room, the legal notice delivered 30 days before they were required to move. Comments flood in beneath it. I witnessed how they treated Emily at school events. Her mom never showed up senior year. Their homeless family is staying at a beachfront rental in Newport. My sister cleans for them. Emily's mom pushed her out 2 years ago. I drove her to her grandparents that night. Lisa's carefully constructed narrative crumbles with each new comment. "Truth has a way of surfacing," Grandma Margaret says, joining us at the table. "People remember how you were treated." The ceiling fan turns lazily overhead, casting slow-moving shadows across the quilted placemats. Outside, Oregon rain taps against the windows, a gentle rhythm that's become the soundtrack of my healing. Did I do the right thing? My voice sounds smaller than I want it to. Grandma's weathered hand covers mine. "Your father didn't leave you all this just for you to give it away out of guilt." "But—" "No buts," she interrupts. "Daniel built everything he had from nothing. He protected you the only way he could." The property management company's email arrives with perfect timing. 5 applications for the rental properties, all offering above asking price. The monthly income would cover my tuition and living expenses completely. Dad made sure I would never have to depend on someone who'd already proven untrustworthy. That night, I changed my phone number. The next morning, I watched the renovation team arrive at my childhood home. They tear out the walls where Tom hung photos of his fishing trips, strip the pink paint from my old bedroom, remove the carpet where my father once carried me on his shoulders. Grief and relief tangle together as I watch them work. Some wounds can't heal while you're still bleeding. A certified letter arrives a week later. Lisa's attorney demands family heirlooms she claims belong to her. I recognize the manipulación, a legal foot in the door, a reason to pull me back into their orbit. I send back only what truly belonged to her: her grandmother's serving platter, photo albums from before she met Dad, her college yearbooks. Nothing more. The boundary stands. 3 days later, she appears at Grandpa's doorstep. Gone is the polished, grieving mother from the video. Her hair hangs limp, her eyes hollow with defeat. "I just want to talk," she says when I answer. "I made mistakes." I step onto the porch, closing the door behind me. Lisa has rewritten our story so many times that I hardly recognize the original plot. This feels like another revision. "You didn't make mistakes," I say. "You made choices." "Emily, please." Her voice breaks. "You're still my daughter." The words I've held back for years rise to the surface. "You chose them over me long before I chose myself over you." Her face crumples, the carefully constructed mask slipping away. For the first time, I see actual remorse in her eyes. "I never thought you'd actually leave," she whispers. "That's because you never really saw me at all." Wind rustles through the oak trees that line Grandpa's driveway. A car passes on the distant road. Life continuing around us, indifferent to our small human drama. "Can we start over?" she asks, reaching for my hand. I step back. "No." Her tears come then, real ones this time. "I'm sorry, Emily, I truly am." "I believe you," I say, and the strange thing is, I do. But some things can't be fixed with an apology. She nods slowly, something like understanding passing between us. No dramatic reconciliation, no promises of holiday dinners and birthday cards. Just acceptance of what we've become to each other. I watch her walk back to her car, her shoulders curved forward like she's fighting against a strong wind. Then I close the door, turn the lock, and return to the family that never asked me to make myself smaller. When family betrays your trust, can those wounds ever truly heal? Or does healing sometimes mean walking away? Some bridges can't be rebuilt, and some shouldn't be. Morning light streams through my Seattle apartment windows, casting golden rectangles across the hardwood floor. I sit cross-legged on my desk chair, surrounded by textbooks and the steady rhythm of rain against glass. 3 years since I stood my ground. 3 years of building something new. The property management report sits open on my laptop. 3 houses, 12 tenants, steady income. Numbers my father would understand. Numbers that built this life. His watch catches the light from its glass case on my desk. I touch the case gently, a ritual I perform each morning before classes. "Still ticking, Dad," I whisper. On my wall hangs a photo from college orientation. Grandma Margaret stands tall despite her arthritis, Grandpa George beaming beside her. Their hands rest protectively on my shoulders. The family that chose to stay. I flip through my therapy journal, pages filled with neat handwriting that gradually becomes stronger, less hesitant. Early entries shake with doubt. Was I wrong to take back what was mine? Should I have compromised? Later ones stand firm. I deserve to protect what Dad built for me. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. My phone buzzes. A text from Rachel inviting me to dinner with our study group. Friends who know me only as Emily the business major, the quiet girl with surprising insight during case studies. Not Emily the displaced daughter. Not Emily who once slept in a glorified closet while strangers claimed her home. Professor Wilson returned our business proposals yesterday, mine marked with a bright A and a note. "Excellent expansion strategy. Your father would be proud." He doesn't know about Dad, but somehow the words feel true anyway. A small award certificate leans against my bookshelf. Recognition for the renovation project I supervised on the Portland property last summer. The tenants sent photos of their children playing in the backyard I once thought I'd never see again. The family newsletter Aunt Linda still sends contains news I read selectively. Mom and Tom separated last spring. No surprise there. Some relationships built on betrayal eventually face their own. Yesterday, an unexpected email appeared in my inbox. Chloe, now a mother herself, writing, "I didn't understand then what we took from you. I'm sorry. 3 years too late, but still. Growth happens at different rates for different people. I've responded to some family members, maintained distance from others. Uncle Dave, who stood by me, gets Christmas cards. Cousin Jen, who called me heartless, doesn't. I've learned the freedom of selective forgiveness given freely, but only where earned. Last week, I visited the old house. Stood on the sidewalk watching the Henderson family move in. Their little boy racing through the front yard, his sister carefully carrying her science project to the door. Mrs. Henderson waved from the porch, thanking me again for approving their application. I walked up the familiar steps, touched the doorframe where Dad once marked my height with pencil marks. The Hendersons preserved it, understanding some histories deserve respect. Walking away, I didn't look back. The weight I'd carried lifted years ago. In my campus office, a corner desk in the business building, I framed the trust papers, not as a reminder of pain, but of protection. Dad's signature at the bottom, the legal language that sheltered me when I had nothing else. My own business cards sit in a holder beside them. Harper Property Management. Small but growing, adding a duplex next spring if projections hold. Yesterday, I visited Dad's grave, placed fresh flowers against the headstone, and sat on the grass beside him. "You protected me even when you couldn't be here," I told him, my voice steady in the cemetery quiet. The confused, frightened girl I once was feels like someone I knew long ago, a character in a story I've outgrown. I pressed my palm against the cool stone. "I protected what you built for me." The wind stirred the oak trees overhead, scattering light through leaves. Dad always said you judge a life by what remains when you're gone. What remains of his life is me standing tall, moving forward, building something lasting. The greatest inheritance wasn't the houses or the money. It was learning how to stand my ground.